proclamations. Today is Thursday, July 6th. This is the Public Health and Safety Committee meeting. I detect a quorum. And then pursuant to Tennessee Public Chapter number 300, time is reserved for public comment on legislative items appearing on this committee agenda, but nobody signed up. Unless mistaken? Okay. All right, so we're going to move on then to resolutions. And I will take a consent agenda, and you let me know if anything should come off. So we're going to start with RS 2023-2295, Roten, Syracuse, and Hurd approves a grant contract between the Metropolitan Board of Health and Why We Can't Wait, Inc. for the, oh, that's right, we're going to, never mind, that's not going to be on that consent, that's right. RS 2023-2296, Roten, Syracuse, and Welsh approves a grant from the Tennessee Department of Health to the Metropolitan Board of Health to achieve sustained control and enhance prevention to eventually eliminate tuberculosis as a public health threat in Tennessee. RS 2023-2297, Roten, Syracuse, and Welsh approves an agreement between the Metropolitan Board of Health and Vanderbilt University School of Nursing to provide clinical experience opportunities for its advanced practice nursing students. RS 2023-2298, Roten, Syracuse, and Hancock approves a local assistance and tribal consistency fund grant from the U.S. Department of the Treasury to the Metropolitan Board of Health to provide funding for on-call veterinarian services, new x-ray equipment, and vehicles for adoption events and transport of large animals. And RS 2023-2299, Roten and Syracuse approves an application for a port security grant from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to the Office of Emergency Management to improve the detection, deterrence, prevention, and response to hazards in the Port of Nashville. Any of those needing to come off consent? No? All right, can I get a motion for those?
Second.
All right, any other comments, questions, concerns? All in favor of the consent agenda?
Aye.
Against? Not voting? Thank you very much. Okay, back to resolutions not on consent. RS 2023-2187, Evans, Stiles, Allen, and others, urges the Mayor's Office, the Metro Health Department, Metro Homeless Impact Division, and Metro Social Services to evaluate housing pods purchased with COVID-19 epidemiology and laboratory capacity grant funds and create an action plan for their use. Get a motion?
So moved.
Councilmember.
Thank you. I have a proposed substitute, and I would like to move the substitute, please.
Motion?
Second.
All right, you want to explain the substitute?
Yes, so basically from the original time when I introduced this resolution, one of the conversation points was around the fire marshal's office and kind of where we were hamstrung with the pods related to the fire marshal and how the pods were constructed by a provider that is not kind of a modular home developer. And so I deferred the resolution at that point, and then I deferred it a second time for 2 meetings to accommodate scheduling a meeting with the fire marshal's office. And so Ginger Hauser coordinated that effort. And so we met with the fire marshal on June the 6th, and we reviewed kind of what the original conversations had been related to the modular home piece, the stamp that would be needed from a certified engineer from Metro to be able to take advantage of leveraging the pods. And so the substitute reflects kind of that additional information from the fire marshal's office, and then also looks at the original date I had was in August for some kind of summary back to us. That's not really feasible based on where we are from a status perspective. And so it's looking at the second meeting in October to include kind of that follow-up. And then also as part of that piece, just a general update. Overall, I mentioned the letter that was necessary. So Byron Hall in Codes is responsible for coordinating with the engineer. He does not have the letter yet. The engineer is committed to having the letter sometime in the next week, and so that's where we are on that piece of it. So really, I would say the spirit of the resolution does not change because it is just wanting to kind of galvanize the various stakeholders across different departments and really working together to kind of look at if the message has historically been the state is preventing the use of the pods. If we remove all the state barriers, then what does that look like? And so it's not prescriptive in any way. I'm not saying we have to use them a certain direction. It is truly, let's come together and figure out a plan. And so that's the conclusion of my comments. So I will be happy to take any questions.
pods do we have? I forgot.
I understand it's about 100, and I don't know if any of our subject matter experts. No? We're all in the same boat.
That's about right.
Yeah,
Kind of in that range.
sounds familiar.
Anything else on the substitutes? All right, all in favor of the substitute?
Aye.
Against? Not voting? Substitute passes. You're on your bill as substituted.
Okay, so basically, again, it's, as I mentioned, it's not wanting to be prescriptive. I'm not saying, April, please add this to your plate and go out and deploy 100 pods or anything like that. It's really, let's come together and figure out, what the potential use is. I did get a good question from Mr. Sharp about, OEM's participation, and certainly, I would be interested in including them. It's not referenced in here, but of course, they are the ones that actually have the pods kind of in their possession as part of their department. The departments that are referenced in the resolution today are the ones that touch the different state aspects of either, the fire marshal with the fire marshal, health department with health department. And so that's one of the reasons why they're specifically referenced. But I really feel like, if we need other input, that it should be included.
Excellent, great work.
All right.
Any other comments, questions? No? Yes, go ahead.
Really quick comment, I just want to thank former chair for all of her work around this. I know it's been extensive and many of us have had questions and concerns about it, so thank you for your due diligence in working and vetting this process out.
Sure thing, and may I add one comment, is that, I've gotten questions about, did I have ideas or thoughts around their use? And I think that there's opportunity to really kind of look to our nonprofit partners and our faith community about, how are they working with unhoused residents in their communities. For instance, in Madison, they participate in the mobile housing navigation system, that has been created, with Metro and April's leadership. But on the Donaldson, Hermitage, Old Hickory side, we don't have anybody that's participating in that. And so it makes it really challenging if they don't have faith communities that don't have classroom space available. Are there opportunities to leverage these in some creative ways? I should also reference that one of the stipulations from the fire marshal really is about making sure that they can be secured, so they don't potentially blow away. They're not meant for long-term stays. It's really meant for short-term potential, and also to make sure that they're 10 feet apart because of that concern as well. So, there's some stipulations, but thank you for that. And because it has been an interesting rabbit hole to go down, and I've learned a lot as a result of this, so I really appreciate the support. And thank you.
Great work. All in favor as substituted?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Not voting? Resolution passes. Great work.
All right, thank you.
All right, on to RS 2023-2295, Roten, Syracuse, and Hurt. Approves a grant contract between the Metropolitan Board of Health and Why We Can't Wait, Inc. for the provision of violence interruption services. And I'm going to go ahead and move for a one-meeting deferral at the request of Councilmember Toombs, who is working with various orgs and whatnot to try and work on. There was originally 2 organizations, so we're going to be working on that. So.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, questions? Sir? All right.
No.
All in favor of a one-meeting deferral?
Aye.
Against? Not voting? Recommend. Thank you. All right, on to bill on second reading. BL 2023-1990, Syracuse, Hurt, Porterfield, and others, amends the Metro Code to reconstruct the Community Oversight Board as a police advisory and review committee for the Metropolitan Government to fully comply with Public Chapter number 454 of the Public Acts of 2023. I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, so I have an amendment. There's 2 amendments here. So I have an amendment, amendment number 1. Can I get a motion on my amendment just to talk about it?
Second.
Thank you. So my amendment number 1 is really kind of a cleanup. It changes internal affairs to police department office of professional accountability. So anything else that I'm missing? There is one other cleanup.
It adds a reference to Article 6 of the Charter when talking about the budget process. And it also proceeds to spell out the state requirements for a subpoena to be issued as opposed to just making reference to the state law.
So it's just a little more transparency. And
Oh, and sorry,
Oh, no, please,
one
thank
other
you.
thing, it has a typographical error that's being corrected.
Yes. So that is my amendment. questions, comments, concerns? All right, all in favor of Amendment 1?
Aye.
Against? Not voting? Thank you much. You recommend. On to Amendment number 2. Can I get a motion for discussion? Yes. Councilmember.
Thank you so very much. This changes the effective date from after its passage to October the 27th, 2023. And Director Darby, do you have anything that you want to add to this one?
The brief explanation that the state law requires that the creation of this board be completed by 120 days after the state law enactment, which is October 29th, which is a weekend date, and therefore choosing the October 27th date was the Friday, it's a weekday, and therefore the following Monday we could start the process with the new.
And I will ask y'all to support.
Good. Comments, questions?
Just a
Yes, sir.
brief question. So this amendment will make the effective date in October. What's wrong with making it effective when the bill passes?
This will give the Community Oversight Board the ability to continue to do the work that they're doing now. So they are in the process of, they have investigations and work that they're currently working on. So this will allow them, it does not have to go into effect right now. It does not have to go into effect until the end of October. So this will allow them to continue what they're doing and to wrap up and prepare for the next phase of what the board will effectively look like in the future.
And they couldn't continue that work without this extension if it were to pass as is?
I don't believe so. Director Darby, can you speak to that?
I don't believe so. I think that once we enact the new board and create the new board, that the current board will cease to exist. I think the state law provides for that.
So effectively, the board is operating as it always has, and this extends the ability to do that until October?
It basically keeps the current Community Oversight Board in its current position, the way it is, until the end of this transition period. And it would allow the current board to wrap up and wind down whatever current work that they're operating under. And then on that, I think it's October 30, is that Monday? I could be wrong. I think it's October 30. The new board would be instituted in place and move forward from there.
It essentially gives them the full period of time to transition as opposed to forcing them to transition immediately.
Okay. Good.
Any other questions, comments? All right, so all in favor of amendment number 2?
Aye.
Any against? Not voting? Thank you. All right, so BL 2023-1990 as amended with 1 and 2. Can I get a motion?
Second.
All right, any comments, questions? All in favor as amended? Oh, go ahead. Yes, sir.
I do want to ask one question, and as I read through, tried to read through the state law and the new bill and see how they square with one another, I just have some questions. I think I asked a general question offline about how this bill squares with state law. Is everything okay with respect to staffing? And I heard you mention issuance of subpoena and things like the use of the word board instead of committee, which I see in that law. Are we okay?
Yes, a lot of scrutiny has gone into the review of this legislation and the creation of this legislation
Okay.
to make sure that it is
Yeah, I knew
consistent
that.
with state law.
Yeah, I knew that. I just wanted to get for the record that it is consistent with
Yes.
state law. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Anybody else? All in favor as amended?
Aye.
Against? Not voting? We recommend approval. Thank you. Bill on third reading, BL 2023-1893, Syracuse, Hancock, Hurt, and others, approves an agreement between the Metropolitan Office of Family Safety and Caravan Studios participate in the Safe Shelter Collaborative that addresses quick identification of immediately available and survivor-appropriate shelter. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Would you like to talk about it a little bit? Ann? No?
Just going to make sure we have live updates on what shelter beds are available in our community, so we don't have to call around and find shelter beds. It's a good program.
Absolutely. Thank you. Comments, questions?
Well, I would say if you're involved, I know it's a good program.
Oh, this is independent of me. But
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Not voting? Very good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. That concludes the legislative items on the agenda. I'll just make everybody aware that we got one more. Oh, and there will be a ribbon cutting for the newly renovated Metro Nashville Emergency Communications Center, July 17th, Monday at 10 a.m. I will forward this on to folks via email as well, but just wanted to let everybody know that. Tom, you got something for us?
Mr. Chairman,
Please.
I just want you guys to meet Cadrell Leach. She's my new colleague at the Health Department. You'll be seeing her down here helping me out with you guys, so.
Fantastic.
Sorry.
Wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much
You
for
can
coming.
still go. You can
Yeah.
still get out.
That's right. All right, any other business before the committee? Thank you so much. We are adjourned.